let's look at the concept of operations and scheduling. They're really tied in together. If you do both well, you're going to have a lot of good, smooth sailing in the process of getting things done. And a lot of it is the planning part. There's a system out there, it's called materials requirement planning. MRP is a slang word out there. It's a computer-based management system, and it forecasts sales to make certain the parts and materials are available at the right time in the right place. You really want to sit down, if you're looking on the supply chain, you want to make certain it depends where you're at in the process. Are you the original person? Are you the one dealing with the raw materials? If so, do you have a stockpile of them? What do you do? And what is going to be your end product? If you're a distributor, that's going to be something really different. You have to make certain you have the right inventory and the right safety stock in the process as well to make certain your retailer's there. If you're a retailer, how good is your supply chain? Are you using just-in-time inventory practices? Are you looking at different aspects? Do you have a good safety stock when the customers deplete all this stuff? Do you have the goods arriving on a regular basis into your process? Newer version of MRP is called ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, and it combines all the different functions, all the things happening in the firm, including finance, human resources, and so on. So you have an integrated system where your MRP is buried inside of an ERP. So you have those kind of things in the process. Purchasing is a big deal. Traditional stuff, somebody would cut a requisition. The requisition, they would order it. When they order it, they would issue a purchase order. When it comes in, the goods would come in. You'd have a packing slip. You would check the packing slip against the purchase order and then pay the bill. Really, the internet has transformed a lot of things. Nowadays, it's a matter you place an order and you get 15 different messages. Your order is now received. Your order is being processed by Herbie over on aisle 7354. And Herbie has now processed your order. Your order is now being loaded on truck number 7542. The truck is now en route from your place over here in Kankakee, Illinois, all the way. Now it's in Chicago. Now it's on its way. Now it decided to take a break over it. Yes, it gets that ridiculous in the process, but at least you know what's going on. Maybe too much. But that all being said, the internet has transformed purchasing majorly, so you can see all the goods in the process. You have a thing called just-in-time. I have to tell you, this is one of the most brilliant things out there. It's also one of the most dangerous and helped almost destroy the world just a little bit ago. Just-in-time. It came out with Toyota. Toyota, T-O-Y-O-D-A, as it's spelled in Japan. We put a T instead of a D here. But that being said, they says, we're going to build a brand new plant. And you, if you want to supply Toyota, you need to sit down there and have a plant right next door to our plant. It must be adjacent to our facility. So they build this gigantic plant. They have a whole series of buildings surrounding the plant. So literally, somebody is working on the assembly line. They're reaching in. They're grabbing a shock absorber from a bin. They put the shock absorber on. As it gets down low, something happens, and all of a sudden, an alarm goes off to the company across the parking lot. A forklift goes by, picks up a bin of shock absorbers in the other company. It drives across the parking lot. As it enters the factory for Toyota, ding, 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 a bell goes off, and something happens. That bin then is now purchased by Toyota at that moment. No, it's not on the shelf inside the plant. It's not owned by Toyota until it crosses into the threshold of the company. And then they have 30 days to pay for it. The bin comes over, the worker finishes the very last shock absorber in the bin. Boom, he reaches in and there's a whole new pallet full of shock absorbers, doesn't miss a step. The old bin is taken away by the forklift. It goes back across the parking lot to be refilled again. That being said, who owns the inventory? Not Toyota. They don't own it until they instantly need it. It is owned by the supplier. The supplier is waiting, ready to bring that shock absorber in and charge Toyota, but they don't do it. Toyota doesn't have to have a 30-day storage wait with shock absorbers in the shelves and wheels and so on when all the suppliers are across the parking lot and boom, it happens. So they only receive things just in time that they need it to sit down and use it instantly. It massively reduces their capital needs because of the fact that the capital needs are all held by the suppliers that are surrounding their plant. Now, the problem is when you have the pandemic hit, All of a sudden, the truck didn't show up in time to get the shock absorbers. The whole just-in-time system fell apart. The wheels came off for a period. Even Toyota, as brilliant as they are in their engineering process, they had 176,000 Toyotas sitting in the parking lot in Tennessee looking for chips because the computer chips in most vehicles today take 8 to 112 computer chips, depending upon the model and how integrated they are with the chips. They were sitting there because the chips weren't there, and so they were aging in parking lots and unsellable because the chips weren't there because of just-in-time inventory. It's a fabulous system when it works, not so much when it doesn't. Anyway, quality. You want to measure quality, you want to reduce errors. Probably the most common one out there is called Six Sigma. It's an entire program. People go through the program, they understand what the 6 different aspects are, and you have different levels of it. I can become a black belt Six Sigma person. Yes, they actually have a black belt. So that being said, Six Sigma out there, you have that. It just depends what you're out looking for in the world. You want to make certain you have good quality control on a regular basis. You have also statistical quality control where you monitor all phases of the process to make certain that the product is out there. You'll have samples taken, literally X number of things, and it should be random to find out what the quality is on a regular basis. Those are pretty common methodologies. You know, a thing called the Baldrige Award came out, and they have different categories. And whenever you receive one, it actually is pretty phenomenal that people praise you. I got the Baldrige Award, and they go on different things over here. Here you have Purina. They had pet care. They received one for making dog food. Yes, and the dogs loved it. The dogs voted, and the dogs all voted to give them the dog award, and the dogs all got treats as a result. Anyway, so that being said, here are some of the more recent ones. Howard Community College and Education. You have an Oregon Recovery and Education Center. You have they received the awards, and it's prestigious because they really have some of the highest rated different quality in their own field. People salute it. A lot of times you'll see companies earning them, especially in bragging about it in the automotive industry. Chevrolet received one almost 4 or 5 years in a row, getting some of the best quality things out there. They salute it because of the fact that they make certain that people recognize that they have high quality products. The standards out there is ISO, International Organization for Standardization, and really the Baldrige Awards are based upon the ISO qualifications. 2 of the most common ones is 9001. You have to know this. This is a test question usually, but you need to have it for part of the slang in the world of business. ISO 9001, it's really the highest quality and management and assurance standards. I was watching a company go through the process of getting their ISO 9000 certification. It took them 3 years, and it meant that every single machine inside the plant had to have a book of operations that a regular person without a technical education go and walk up to the machine, read it, and have an understanding of how to operate that machine in a safe manner. To do all that takes a lot of work, a lot of experience, and a lot of good solid writing to make that happen. When you receive a 9001, a lot of times it's pretty common. You have a big celebration. You put something on the outside of the building that says ISO 9001 certified. Then you have a party because it's hard, and you get to advertise it and tell everybody that we now have high quality. You also have another one, another standard out there that is just a couple decades old, actually less than that, the ISO 14000 standard, 14001. It's about the best practices for an environment. You also have another one out there also that gives you different bronze, silver, and even a platinum and a gold level out there as well. So you'll have, but the ISO 14001 is the one that probably is the best one for certification because of the fact that it identifies very specific things. You met this standard, this standard, this standard, then it enumerates that one. I also want you to know 2 more things in this chapter over here. One is called PERT. Okay, program evaluation and review technique. This is what you use for scheduling different things. It was developed back in the 50s for making nuclear submarines, but it was doing really well, but somebody torpedoed the idea. But that being said, on PERT, a lot of steps involved. You analyze the task, and your goal is to find this thing that we call the critical path. The critical path are the ones that will take the longest to complete no matter what happens. Now, when you're working on a critical path, you can work on other things on both sides of it, above and below it, that aren't quite as critical, that might integrate later on. So here's an example of a PERT chart used for something as simple as a music video. You think it doesn't take much, but yes, it does. All these are different activities. So you figure out what activities you have, and then you figure out, okay, which are the longest ones that, and they have to be done in sequence. So you sit down and figure, okay, so here they are. Okay, the star, of course, would be me. Okay, the set design, materials purchased, constructed. In the meantime, while those things are happening, you can be doing the things in the light blue on the bottom and have them going at the same time. But you have to focus in on the critical path because of the fact they all have to follow one another in sequence, and there's a timeline there. So you can add more tasks without lengthening it unless you sit down and touch that critical path. Probably the one that's most commonly done, you'll see a bar graph here called the Gantt chart. This could be done on a simple Excel spreadsheet. Here's an example over here. You got a doll, you got a head, a body, the fabric cut, the clothing, and then the assembly line. What you do is you sit down and you just break the task down, just like you did the PERT chart, except this could be much simpler, and you'll see these on a regular basis. Gantt charts are very common in the world of business. And if you're actually doing any kind of serious work, then actually product development or product management, you will see a Gantt chart guaranteed, especially in the world of construction. So Gantt charts are out there. You'll see them. You'll also see, I've only seen one project where I used a PERT chart. That was a big construction project for a new building. On the Gantt chart, you'll see them on a regular basis, especially when it comes down to small projects, because they're easy to use. Know what that is in the process. So MRP, then the ERP now is taken over the MRP. The MRP is working inside of it. Know ISO 9001 and 14,000, what the difference is. Know what a PERT chart is and the Gantt chart. And if you ever have an opportunity, the world of operations and scheduling is a lot of fun, especially if you like puzzles and putting things together and solving problems. It's there, and it's a lot of technology, a lot of sort of thinking process, and this is really a huge thing in the world today, especially the scheduling part with our quick delivery scheme. So that being said, this is an area that's growing in a career pathway, and a lot of times AIs will be involved in it, but there's plenty of room for humans in this world as well. Take care.